Welcome back from Mentor English. Myself, Professor MA-Raza, and let's get started. The new topic: role of a teacher. Role of a teacher. Let me introduce the topic. It is the clear that the 21st century classroom needs are very different from the 20th century ones. In the 21st century, classroom teachers are facilitators for students learning and creators of a productive classroom environment in which students can develop the skills they might need at present in future. However, before we begin to understand the evolving role of an ESL English as second language teachers, let us outline some of the already known the most popular teacher roles. Harmer J states that it makes more sense to describe different teachers roles and says what they are useful for rather than make value judgments about their effectiveness. So here are some of the most common teacher roles. Objectives: by the end of the lecture and the unit, the students will be able to know how a proficient teacher is demonstrate and elaborate understanding of terms about the role of a proficient teacher and instill the teachers and learners with the knowledge and skills of teaching and learning procedure. So the next, teacher's role. Most teachers take on a variety of roles within the classroom. Dear students, which roles do you think most defines your teaching role in the ESL classroom? The teaching is a complete charge of the class. What students do, what they say, and how they say it. The teacher assumes this role when a new language is being introduced and accurate reproduction and drilling techniques are needed. In this classroom, the teacher is mostly the center of the focus. The teacher may have the gift of instruction and can inspire through their own knowledge and expertise, but does this role really allow for enough student talk time? It is really enjoyable for the learners. There is also a perception that this role could have a lack of variety in its activity. The teacher encourages students to participate and make suggestions about how student may proceed in an activity. The teacher should be helping students only when necessary. When learners are literally lost for word, the prompter can encourage by discreetly nuding students. Students can sometimes lose the thread or become unsure how to proceed. The prompter in this regard can prompt, but always in a sportive way. The resource the resource the teacher is a kind of walking resource center, ready to offer help it needed or provided learners with whatever language they lack when performing communicative activities. The teacher must make himself available so the learner can consult him when and only when it is absolutely necessary. As a resource, the teacher can guide learners to use available resources such as the internet for themselves. It certainly is not necessary to spoon feed learners. At this might have the downside of making learners reliant on the teacher. The assessor. The teacher assumes this role to see how well students are performing or how well they performed. Feedback and correction or organized and carried out. There are a variety of ways we can grade learners. The role of an assessor gives teachers an opportunity to correct learners. However, it is not it if it is not communicated with the sensitivity and sport, it could prove counterproductive to a student's self-esteem and confidence in learning the target language. The organizer the organizer, perhaps the most difficult and important role the teacher must play, is that of an organizer. The success of many activities depends on good organization and on the students knowing exactly what they are to do next. Giving instructions is vital in this role, as well as setting up activities. The organizer can also serve as a demonstrator. This role also allow this roles sorry this role also allow a teacher to get involved and engaged with learners. The teacher also serves to open and neatly close activities and also give content feedback. The participant This role improve the atmosphere in the class when the teacher takes part in activity. However, the teachers take a risk of dominating the activity when performing it. Here, the teachers can enliven a class. If a teacher is able to stand back and not become the center of attention, it can be a great way to intricate with the learners without being too overpowering, hence making it more student centered classroom. The tutor the tutor uh, the teacher acts as a coach when students are involved in project work or self study. The teacher provides advice and guidance and helps students clarify ideas and limit tasks. This role can be a great way to pay individual attentions to a students. It can also allow a teacher to make tailor a course in order to fit specific student needs. However, it can also lead to a student becoming too dependent or even too comfortable with one teacher and one method or style of teaching. Now that we have had a chance to look at some of the variety of roles, let us see how we can adopt these into a real classroom activity task, team game, role play, teacher reading aloud, whole class listening, how the teaching should behave: energetic, clear, fair, encouraging, sportive, retiring, clear, encouraging, dramatic, interesting, commanding, efficient, clear, sportive. Teachers evolving role. Therefore it is said that 21st century classroom is created on the premise that students requires and experience to enter the 21st century workplace and live in the global environment. The characteristics of the 21st century classroom therefore set it apart from the 20th century classroom in being more student centered classroom. This new trend has thus put an emphasizes on evolving role of a teacher too. So if a lecture If lectures on a single subject at a time were the norm in the past, today collaboration is the thread for all the students learning. For instance, to collaborative project based approach ensures that the curriculum used in the classroom develops higher orders thinking skills, effective communication skills, and knowledge of technology that students will need for 21st century careers and the increased globalized environment. Henceforth, while there is certainly a place for teacher centered lecture styles learning, the evolving ESL teacher must embrace new teaching strategies and intricate role that are radically different from those previously employed. Along with the curriculum the curriculum must that the curriculum must become more relevant to what student will be exposed to in the 21st century. Interactive teacher An interactive teacher is, by a definition, one that is fully aware of the group dynamics of a classroom, as Dorini and Murphy 2003 explain. The success of classroom learning is very much dependent on how students relate to each other and their teacher. What the classroom's environments is how effectively students cooperate and communicate with each other, and the role not only the teacher plays but the learners engage in. Brown H. Doggles 2007 mentions that teachers can play many roles in the course of teaching, and this might facilitate learning. Their ability to carry these over effectively will depend to a large extent on the rapport they establish with their students, and of course on their own level of knowledge and skills. According to Harmer J 2007, the term facilitator is used by many authors to describe a particular kind of teacher, one who is a democratic, where the teacher shares some of the leadership with the students, rather than autocratic, where the teacher is in control of everything that goes on in the classroom, and one who foster learners autonomy, where students not only learn on their own but also take responsibilities for that learning through the use of group and peer work, and by acting as more of a resource than a transmitter of knowledge. Conclusion: facilitating learning is empowering for both the learner and the teacher, and frees the teacher for many of the burdens that having to be an expert might entail. It would traditionally have been seen as a weakness for a teacher to say, "I don't know, let us find out," or "I don't know, do any of your students knows the answer." But times have changed, and some must the role of the ELS teachers. So, here is hoping the next time you teach a class, you consider how your role might affect your students' learning. Are your classroom or your classes teacher centered, with you always at the center controlling everything, or are you able to let it go and allow students to take a central stage regardless of a role they assume? Teachers shape the culture of their classroom, improve students learning, and influence practice and production, making a shift from the teacher as an expert to facilitator is sometimes seen as dimensioning a teacher's power and authority, but this should not be the case all time. As sorry, should not be the case at all. Summary of the point are here right now, and self-assessment are also. The questions are: what do you think about the demand from the teacher is currently changing classroom environments? Illustrate your answers with any current Pakistani example. Elaborate various role of a teacher with reference to the Pakistani classroom. Explain further how a teacher can have transition from one role to the other according to the objectives of the learning activities. Describe your own teaching role, which usually you take up in your classes. Also mention which role you want to adopt in future after reading after reading this unit. Please do not forget to state the level and activities for your class. We will be right back with you with the new topic, with the new gossip. Let me go now and say with me: do something more for humanity, do something more for knowledge and practices. And I hope that you have subscribed the channel and hit the bell icon. Bye bye.